a little bit about Rauchbier. Today I want to talk to you about Rauchbiers. This is a smoked German beer. And did you know that October is Rauchbier month? So this is the perfect time to talk about it. You've still got a little bit of time to go out and find some. So in this video, we are going to talk about the history of Rauchbiers and how they came about. I will give you the style guidelines and we will look at some examples for you to try. Before we get into what a Rauchbier is, we need to look at the malting process. So in our beers, the malt is the backbone of our beer. It adds a lot to it. When we say malt, we generally mean barley. The grains are harvested and then they are soaked to start the germination process. The germination process produces starches and enzymes that we need in the beer to create fermentable sugars. The germination process is stopped by the application of heat and air in the kilning process, which then can either very lightly or quite darkly roast the kernels ready for use in beer. Many years ago, before drying machines were invented, this process would be done over wood fires. Therefore, the kernels and the barley would end up with a smoky taste. Beers back then were a lot darker and smokier than we recognise them today. It is said if you want to know what an original Marzen really tasted like, then a Rauchbier Marzen is probably the closest you're going to get today. In 1635, the first smoke-free drying machine was patented, and from this point on, it was possible to kiln malts without that smoke flavour, and that cleaner beer became very popular. So smoked beer began to die out. However, in Bamberg in Germany, several breweries continued to create their malt using a wood fire, so they continued to have smoky malts. This is why you will often see smoked beer referred to as Bamberg smoked beer. In the 1900s, there were still 4 breweries who were using smoked malts in their beers. Polar Bar was closed in World War II. Greifenau closed its malting processes in the 1970s, but Spezial and Schlenkerla still continue to smoke their own malts today. It's thought they are the only 2 breweries in the world that still use old traditional fire kilns. So what does a Rauchbier taste like? A Rauchbier is often described as bacon in a glass. You will get that smoky meat type flavour, but don't be put off. A classic Rauchbier should be a malty amber Marzen style lager that has a complementary smoke flavour. This can vary from Brewster and from Maltster depending on how much they put into the beer. This will be coming from beechwood smoked malts. Specifically in Bamberg they use beechwood, and at Schlenkerla they use beechwood. Rich toasty malts should be visible in the aroma and flavour, and this beer should have a clean fermentation profile from lager yeast, and it should have a somewhat dry finish. The vital statistics for a Rauchbier from the BJCP style guidelines are: the colour is amber to brown, which is 12 to 22 on the SRM scale. The ABV is normal, 4.8 to 6%. Perceived bitterness is moderate, with 20 to 30 IBUs. An ideal serving temperature for a Rauchbier is 10 to 12.7 degrees Celsius, which is 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Glasses that you can serve your Rauchbier in include a glass Maß or a classic Willy Becher pint glass that you will see with a lot of lagers in Germany. Examples of Rauchbiers that you may want to try. One of the most classic example is from Schlenkerla. Their Marzen style Rauchbier is the epitome of the style. However, they also do lots of different smoked beers. As well as their classic Marzen, they also have a smoked Helles lager, which you could try. And they also have a smoked wheat. Interestingly, if you look at the Schlenkerla website, their other lager beers are matured in caves that have been used for 700 years. However, the wheat Rauchbier is conditioned in the bottle. Around about September, October time, you will also find that other craft breweries start to produce Rauchbiers. You can get them year round, and smoke flavours are added to various different types of beer styles. It's particularly dark beers, so look out for those. But at this time of year, when Oktoberfest is prevalent, German beer seems to be in the minds of craft brewers. So you can find some interesting Rauchbiers to try from them. West, which is a brewery up in Glasgow, have produced a smoked fest beer, which they're calling their Rauchbier, which you can get now. Go and find some of that right away. And Ansbach and Hobday have also produced a Rauchbier in their Oktoberfest set. I can highly recommend Ansbach and Hobday. Their traditional beers are always very good and very to style. So if you can still get one of these, go try it today. My final recommendation, if you want to ease yourself into Rauchbiers, would be Braybrook's Barbecue Helles. This has a really light smoked malt flavour in the background of a classic Helles. It's got a little bit of floralness to balance it out. So if you're not very sure about trying a smoked beer style, maybe start there, because then you can build yourself up to the proper bacon in a glass beers. If you'd like to learn more about smoked beers and Rauchbier, you can check out episode 47 of A Woman's Brew the podcast, where we tried several different types and went deeper into the history of smoked beer. If you would like to learn more about beer styles, you can come and join me in my beer membership, the Beer Tent Society. We look at a different beer style every month and do a live tasting together to really determine those style guidelines and what we like about those styles. And if you enjoy this educational content, you can come support Love Beer Learning by becoming a Patreon supporter for £2 a month. Check out the links in the video notes below for these.